Good hit. 157. If you carry on an empty chamber, you will die, as will your whole family, neighborhood, bloodline. I've got a 10-yard target out here, a piece of C-zone steel, empty Glock upon my pubis. 1.5 second par time. Let's just see. I haven't been out here running this. I did about 10 dry reps. Let's see what she looks like. We'll do it together. Good hit. 157. I did 10 dry reps in 5 live fire reps. 157. So I'm not out here playing with this for any reason other than I think this discussion comes up a lot. We should dig in. Empty chamber. Will you and your family, your neighborhood, in fact, probably your entire community, end up dead if you carry that way? Let's see what that target looks like. Just run that out there just so we're on the same page. There's that neck hit. So why do this? Why do it? Why not do it? First of all, I know some of you are going to say it's the dumbest thing ever. Only a fool would talk about it or do it. Well, that's on you. I don't care what you do, as long as whatever you're doing is lawful, ethical, you're not hurting anybody, right? Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You want to fill a baby pool up in the living room full of Jell-O and watch cartoons all day, and I don't care. Do whatever you want to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're following the rules. Why carry on an empty chamber? Well, there's a lot of reasons. If for some reason somebody else besides you may have access to your firearm, that's valuable. Well, if it's a dead man's gun, what if you need both your hands? Well, what if you do, right? What if? Everything we do with training is what ifs. We are balancing the what ifs, right? What if I'm attacked? What if there's a mass shooting? What if somebody burglarizes my car or home? What if somebody breaks into the church I'm working at, et cetera, et cetera? That's all we're doing. What ifs, right? I have fire extinguishers throughout my home, office, garage, truck. What if a fire starts, right? What if this happens? What's my plan? Here's the silly thing about this discussion. So in 1.5 minutes of training, I got a 1.5 second, 1.57 second hit from concealment, which means that if I invested some time in it, which I've done years ago, we did a couple videos on this that are up here on YouTube, you could easily shave that down. So somebody might say, well, why do that? Why not just put one in the pipe? I don't know. It depends, right? There are places that people are told to do this. Maybe it's their job, certain militaries. So I know a guy that was an Air Force security dude. I don't know if this is still the case, but when he was a police officer, I don't know what the exact job title was, but he was like an MP in the Air Force. They carried with an empty pipe. I don't know if that's still the case. If you know about that, comment on it. Well, if that's how you had to carry, I'd want to get really good at that cycle on the draw stroke. My buddy Super Dave Harrington, you've heard me talk about him before. Dave ran some of the firearms training at Range 37, which if you don't know what that is, do a little Google search on Range 37 at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. He trained the best war fighters on the planet with long guns and pistols. Dave is an advocate of it for certain things, but more importantly, I think we have to understand the big picture. In this space, the space that you and I are in, there seems to be some issues where it's all or nothing. Now, let's just bear with me for a second. If I'm out in public and I need a gun, I'd rather it be with me than home in my safe, right? If I'm at home and I need a gun, I'd rather it be next to me or better yet on me than in my safe. If I am out in public, I'd rather a gun be locked up in my truck where it's closer to me than at home in the safe. If I am out in public and there's a gun on me, I'd rather it be on me where I can access it versus a bag or some type of off-body carry, but that's better than at home or locked up in the truck. If it's on me, as mine is now, yeah, I would like it loaded and ready, right? It's like, how many steps can we take out to getting to drive lead at a bad situation, whatever it might be? Ethically, morally, legally, right? Justified stuff. Of course, on you loaded is the best option. How many of you have little kids? How many of little kids with pry fingers? Do some research. and read the hundreds of stories, I'm not exaggerating, that you can find online of little boys, little girls who shoot each other by mistake, who shoot themselves by mistake, who shoot mom and dad by mistake, who shoot friends by mistake with access to mom and dad's guns. Does that mean that they can't pick a gun up and rack the slide? Of course not. It's a step, it's a layer. So there's a whole safety mechanism in place there. Here's the other part of this discussion that makes me chuckle. I think those that train a lot don't think about these kinds of things because they understand. It seems like the people that invest the most time, this thing, I gotta have the round in the chamber, otherwise I'll die because I'm ready. What's your cardiovascular endurance look like right now? Can you pick up a 100-pound dummy and walk at 50 feet? How about 100 feet? How about 200 feet? Could you do 25 push-ups, maybe 50 push-ups, maybe 100 push-ups even in a whole 8-hour day? Could you get that done? Could you climb 6 flights of stairs right now? Could you run for a mile, even in 15 minutes? Not even like a crazy mile time, not like a 10-minute or a 4-minute mile, right? Or a frickin' 2-mile in an hour. Can you do that? This is where the rubber meets the road in this space. We want to fixate on you got to have a red dot. You got to have this gun or that gun or this bullet or that bullet. When the big picture, really, those that are really trained, they'll kill you with a rock. They'll kill you with their fists, right? They'll win because they have trained to win, not because they have trained to do certain steps. See, people that have to do certain steps lose when something else happens that knocks them off of their little recipe. Right? There's an old adage that's been repeated a million times, and it's all plans fail first contact, right? This has been repeated through history, from armies to business to even kitchens, right? You have to plan to overcome regardless of what happens. Well, let's throw some ears back on. Grab my eyes first. What do I do with them? There they are. What happens when we have a situation like this? Let me set up an empty gun again. And let's assume that I think my gun is loaded, because I always load my gun, right? What's the immediate action if the gun goes click? Well, let's just run it on the timer. I got a random start time. Shit! With a miss. So I made it up. Took me 3.5 seconds with a miss to make that up. Let's do it again. If you miss, make it up. Let's do that one more time. That was better. 279. Let's do it again. Doing this shit on camera is sometimes difficult. Get off my back. Here we go. .281. So with a tap rack, I'm under 3 seconds. Here's the problem with this stuff. That happens, right? Are we not training to work past that failure? So it took me a whole second to shoot, tap, rack, and drive the gun back out. Well, why don't I just rack? All right, let's look at that. Let's just look at that so we're on the same page. I put my glasses in the same spot every time. So let's set this gun up again to go to... Actually, let's top this off here. To go to an empty chamber, and let's see what happens. Ready? Gun comes up. What's happening? You gotta seat the mag, baby. Stuff can happen in your holster. It can happen from a bullshit admin load. Why do we do things the way we do it? How do we load a gun, right? Seat, lock, tug, cycle, press check, tap, tap, finger straight into the holster. How do we unload? Remove the source of ammunition, store it on my body, cycle, 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 lock the slide to the rear, visually if needed, physically inspect the chamber, breech face, mag well, look away, chamber, breech face, mag well. How do I load? seat lock, tug, cycle, press check, tap, tap, clear the trigger, clear the holster, put her away. Magazines get knocked out of being seated for a myriad of reasons. Could be on your draw stroke, you push something. Look, I just did it in the holster to show you how easy it is. Could be scuffling. So we've got this idea where I'm gonna need my other hand. I'm gonna need my other hand for this fight. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. And if you do need your other hand, it means that it's engaged in somebody. So now you might be shooting from here. Great. Well, let's look at that. So we've got this set back up again with an empty chamber. And empty chamber. Here we go. You ready? Hands preoccupied. Gun comes up. All right. 253, racking it off my belt. Let's do it again. Yes, I'm shooting the ground on purpose here because I'd be mimicking somebody being right in front of me. Let's do it again. My hands preoccupied. .205. What if I have to tap rack from that position, huh? What if I have to tap rack from that position? Here we go. Hands preoccupied. .344. The failure that we have, somebody's going to look at this and they go, well, you could draw and shoot in a second. You could do it in a second. I can. Where's the disconnects here? It's that you are training for one eventuality, this perfect draw stroke where the gun's loaded and everything works. I have met numerous men who during a scuffle, their magazine got knocked free. Either they did it in practice. I do it once in a while trying to go too fast. Don't you think you might be in a hurry? You might be in a hurry if something bad's happening. Let's do a little microphone fixage here. Pardon moi. Gear check. By the way, I'm out here on the range alone, guys, so if you don't like any safety stuff, call your mom and tell her. She'll tell you to leave me alone. Your mom fucking loves me. Why am I going through this stuff? Because I believe too often, I read through the comments here. First and foremost, I don't know everything. My name's Mickey Shook, and I'm here to admit I don't know everything, right? I'm learning. I look back at stuff that we were pumping out 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 15 years ago. I look at people that I look up to and I see stuff that they were doing 5, 10, 20 years ago and I go, this guy's an idiot. But he wasn't. He was using the best stuff available at the time. Here's the truth. There's no majorly new concepts out here. There's some guy out there that's selling you some stuff saying, I've got the goods, come train with me, I know it all. He's full of shit. Guys like Benny Cooley were years ago teaching the stuff that's the same stuff all the top dudes are doing. Benny was doing it years ago. I'm talking 30 years ago, right? Look up Bob Housingay, a name you don't see very often. Bob was teaching this stuff 30 years ago. I'm not talking about what I'm doing right here, but all of the mechanics of grip, sight, shooting, target transitions, all the guys that are high levels are doing the same stuff that those guys figured out. Robbie Latham, there's another big one for you, years and years ago. And we could put a whole list up. Look up Shaw. Used to be Shaw Shooting School. I believe it's called Mid-South these days. Actually, their school out in Idaho stocks gunfighter gun oil products, which is pretty cool. But this stuff isn't new. Yet, we fixate on a few things. I was a police officer and you only do it this way. I was in the Marine Corps, you only do it this way. I attended this guy's class, you only do it this way. I'm not poo-pooing anybody who I just named. It doesn't matter if you did those things. If one guy showed you something and all of a sudden that's the only way it can be, well, you're hosed, man. You are hosed when the universe, the world, gives you a problem that you haven't thought about or trained to do, trained to deal with, trained to work through. Carry on an empty chamber, carry on a loaded chamber, I don't care. You should care why you do it. So ask, what's my goal? Why would I be doing this? If it's because there's children that could access the gun, your job tells you so, some other reason, okay, am I willing to accept those reasons? Yes, no. Do I have the ability to change them, right? Yeah, I don't have to work here. Well, what if you're Israeli and you live in an area where that's what they tell you got to do? Okay, well, unless I'm willing to like emigrate somewhere else, then I got to do it, right? I'm just going to get rid of my kids or choose not to be armed. I would rather have it with me and have an extra half a second to a second than not at all. Think through the big picture. If you're really interested in fixating on all this stuff in a manner where you're going to say it only can be this way, what other things are you letting slip through the cracks that you're willing to fixate on this one topic, but you're forgetting all the others? How's your medical training? When's the last time you did some CPR? I'm a CPR instructor. Lay it on me. Tell me when's the last time that you trained. When's the last time you thought about, if today I have to do CPR, I'm ready. When you leave your house today, you should look in the mirror and say, today's the day that if nature calls upon me, I can save my skin. I'll save my kid. I'll run faster. I'll run farther. I will fight harder than I ever have before today, if I need to. That's not just words in the mirror. That's you prepping your brain that I'm ready. I've thought about it. When I walk into a space, a place, I'm looking. Where could I go if I had to? Where could I shove my kids if I had to? Where could I toss my wife if I had to? Where could I go if I had to? What weapons of opportunity are in my vicinity? Dig? If this place provides me none of those things, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe this is not a place I'm willing to go, right? Food for thought. Empty chamber, loaded chamber, it's up to you, but do understand what comes with it and understand the totality of all the things that are involved in going armed into the world. It's so much more than just a loaded gun. It's so much more than just a loaded gun. Can you keep this thing up and running at all times and understand how to hit things? This is Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Really digging spending the time with you guys out here on the little private bay. I look forward to seeing you in class. If you guys haven't checked out Gunfighter Gun Oil, please do. If you haven't checked out Ignis Lux Coffee, please do. Got my coach Dan Hart shirt on today. Dan is building what is probably going to be the finest jiu-jitsu studio gym in the Midwest in our little town of Woodstock, Illinois. If you live in Chicagoland, check out Hart Jiu-Jitsu. Pretty badass place. That place is probably going to be open here at the beginning of summer. Mats are getting rolled out. Paint's going on the wall right now. So check that out if you're in the vicinity. Hopefully we see you guys in class out here on a buggy May day. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them. Carry one in the pipe or don't, but understand what the dealio is. Well, hey there. Are you one of those folks that's like, it's morning, I'm going to need my coffee before I can talk to you? Well, if that's you, I want you to try this. Ignis Lux Coffee. We roast this ourselves, roasted with love. Primo stuff, and I guarantee if you don't like it, I will ignore your phone call and tell you to lose my number, but keep buying it because it's amazing. And if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. No, but seriously, the guarantee is you're going to like it. Try it. Ignis Lux, Latin for firelight. It denotes that fire that burns in all of us. And my thought is, with everything that we do, let that fire blaze brightly, my friends, for as long as possible. Ciao. Oh, hey.